What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 78 of the Bros Talking Soccer podcast. I'm Dave Knittel, here as always with my two brothers, Christian and Matt, to discuss stories from around the soccer world. I'm still back on the East Coast, coming to you live from Christian's new bedroom and our parents' basement. Christian, hello.
Oh, God, why'd you have to say it that
Hello.
way? Hello.
Matt, what's going on?
Hello, I'm also in my girlfriend's place. I also don't have a place of my own this summer, so
we're all just, yeah, and I basically live at my wife's place, considering she
True.
She makes all of the money right now.
The Kittles are doing really well.
Yeah,
Please tune into the podcast to help us.
Yeah, it'd be greatly appreciated. We got this thing ready to rock, so let's get to it because it is our dad's birthday week, and so we're trying to go for a walk with him. Walk with him. Yes.
Birthday month.
Yeah, for YouTube listeners that don't know what that is, it's a week-long thing at the Knittel household.
Well, for him, it's a month. Other than Mother's Day, he gets the whole month of May.
Yep. Yeah. But he's been good, actually. So
he's been very good.
Yeah, he's been good. All right.
He's a good boy.
You have a trivia question?
I do.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 78 of the Bros Talking Soccer podcast. My name is Dave Knittel, and I'm here with my brothers Christian and Matt to discuss stories from around the soccer world. Christian, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Dave. I just moved in with my parents back in the basement here. It's a real show. It was a real production getting back here. But as of today, I officially live here.
Yeah, it looks good. Looks good. I'm still back on the East Coast and just surveying your new accommodations, and it's looking good. So I'm excited for you. I think this is going to go great.
This
for
is just
you.
There's no downside. There's nothing that could possibly go wrong.
Matt, how are you doing?
Doing great, Dave. Up at Penn State for first summer session. So there's really nobody here right now. So I'm pretty lonely. I kind of sit in the apartment alone, just kind of with my thoughts.
Yep. That's my world. That's basically my life. So as soon as I get back out to the West Coast, that will be my life too. I, on the other hand, absolutely love that because I'm a weirdo, and so I enjoy that. But let's you are
a weirdo.
I'm a complete weirdo. Christian, do you want to give the listeners a trivia question?
I would love to give them a trivia question this week.
We're excited to hear.
The trivia question this week is: what is the highest and lowest average attendances at a World Cup? So I would like the year. And you can guess the amount if you would like, and the location if you would also like that.
Okay. All right, cool. We will think on that, listeners. You will think as well. And then we'll give our guesses at the end, and Christian will reveal the answer. Before we get to our topics this week, wanted to make a quick announcement. For anyone who's listened in the past, you know about Stadium Scene. They are a travel blog for people attending sports stadiums, specifically in the U.S. They're looking to expand and do a lot of more interesting things. So they used to be on stadiumscene.com and stadiumscene.tv. Now everything is on stadiumscene.tv. They have recommendations of where to park, what restaurants and bars to go to before and after games. Now they also have content all on stadiumscene.tv. So they partner with podcasters, YouTubers, people writing blog posts, and more. That's all on stadiumscene.tv.
Oh my God, that's like us.
Yeah, I know.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. I know.
What?
So you can find our stuff on there as well as all different kinds of content. It's not just soccer stuff. It's all different American sports. So definitely be sure to go check them out, stadiumscene.tv. Let's get to our topics this week. In our first segment, we wanted to devote it solely to the FA Cup. And so started off, let's talk about the FA Cup final. It was won by Chelsea FC 1-0 over Manchester United. I only got to see the first half, but from what I'm understanding, I didn't really miss too much. Christian, do you want to give your thoughts on how the final went?
Oh, boy. Not only are these the two worst teams to watch in probably a world of soccer,
that's a bit strong, but okay.
It was just horrible. It lived up to the billing. I can tell you that much. It was really, really poor soccer. There were very, very little chances created in the game. I just can't believe how poor of a showing. Phil Jones, I don't know how he made England's team. He made so many mistakes, and he was absolute garbage on the field. And no offense, Phil, if you're listening, but
I'm sure
you weren't having the best game. I really just I'm glad Jose didn't win a title. I'm glad United didn't win a title. But wow, those two teams just live to disappoint with the performances they show on the field. Regardless if they win, it's not fun to watch.
Okay, Matt, what were your thoughts on the final?
Yeah, it was really boring. We turned it off at one point to play a quick Fortnite game because it was so boring. I was
Nice.
watching with my one friend, one friend up here. We were watching the game together. Yeah, but I mean, Hazard, the way he got the penalty, his touch was crazy. That was, that was the highlight of the game, getting the penalty for me. Even the penalty was boring.
Yeah.
It's the slow roll to the right. I mean, yeah, it was just an underwhelming performance. Yeah, so the game, I mean, you win a trophy. Chelsea went through kind of a strange season this year, but they still win a trophy, and it's a huge trophy in England, but it's I just don't know what to make of their season now.
It's definitely tough to really evaluate their season, but I mean, there's only 4 trophies that you can win in England, and they won one of them. So, in my opinion, I think it's a successful season for them. So, as crazy as all the off-field antics have been for them, I mean, they won a trophy, and it's probably the 3rd biggest trophy you can win in England. Not probably, it's definitely the 3rd biggest trophy behind the Premier League and Champions League. So, I think that it's somewhat of a success for them. I only watched the first half, but in finals, what's up? You guys are both shaking.
Absolutely not a successful season. Sorry. Absolutely
no, I was saying, would you think winning the FA Cup or Europa League is more?
That's an interesting question. I think Europa League. Yeah, Europa League, because now it comes with the Champions League spot. So, 100% it's that. In the past, I think you could have made an argument one way or another, but the FA Cup has certainly lost some of its luster. And that was kind of the next thing we wanted to talk about here. It's, is there anything that can be done in England? This is the longest cup running competition, I believe, in world soccer. I know Scotland has one kind of very close to the same age as it, and it's got all this history, but nowadays almost Premier League fans have disdain towards the FA Cup. When the league has to take a break and teams play in the FA Cup, there's almost this hatred of it. It's seen as this afterthought. I mean, what can be done from either a competition perspective, a fan interest perspective? Do you have any ideas, Christian? What do you think?
Well, to be completely honest, I dislike when they have the break for the FA Cup, especially when it postpones games when we're supposed to go visit.
Oh, man.
It's really disappointing.
Oh, that is hitting a sore spot.
I really just would rather watch the league always. And this is a competition that is highly regarded, honestly, in England, but it's losing its like shine almost. It's people are thinking of it as a after what?
Losing its shine. I thought you said like shying, like I'm shy, and just added an ing on, and I had no idea what the heck you were talking about. But it's losing its shine.
Yeah,
my words are not great. Yeah, words. My words are terrible.
Yeah, I just wish that they could do something, and I'm really struggling to think of anything specifically they can do. Maybe make it more lucrative for teams so that they don't just don't play their reserves, which half of them do anyway, the big teams at least early on in the competition, against some of the smaller sides. And that's where you see,
how do you force that to happen?
You make it more lucrative.
Oh, okay.
You make it more of you make it more of a competition that's worth money. And I know that's going to be tough because the Premier League is always going to be worth more money. And so people are going to focus on that. People are going to focus on the Champions League because that is the pinnacle of the club soccer right now. It's tough, but I think that's really the only way that they're going to improve it, because right now a lot of teams aren't playing their top sides against those third, fourth, and even non-league teams.
Matt, your thoughts here? Anything to do to improve it?
I think it's difficult because I think every team even views the FA Cup in England differently on how they approach it. Some teams go like almost all out for it, and some teams pretty much send the big teams who can afford to do that send out their, kind of their reserves to the FA Cup and, just make it an afterthought. And I think that's where like a lot of the interest is gone, is because the big guys aren't really caring about it anymore because they have the Champions League, which is worth so much money in the leagues. Like that's where they make like their money. They need to focus on that and keep their players rested. So it's tough to say like what you can do to make it more interesting. And like I know like for the American perspective, we have one trophy to win pretty much for all our sports. So it's kind of hard to care about.
Well, all the American sports except for soccer. Like soccer has.
That's what I'm saying. Like for like our fans, it's hard to like for like non-soccer fans to kind of.
Is that true? Because like tennis and golf and stuff, like.
Well, and even in basketball,
not, like, big sports, but
basketball or football. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, you have your conference play and you win a Big Ten title, and it doesn't come with the same cachet. But I mean, you win a trophy, and if you win the Big East tournament, and then you go into the NCAA tournament, there's that.
Yeah, they should become the NCAA.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm certainly not saying that. But no, but what I'm saying, I personally like the way soccer does it. I like that there's multiple
Yeah,
trophies, and like people are not like. I hate that. I understand what you're saying, Matt, and I hate that argument because that's just saying like Americans are
I don't have a problem
with
with it, but I think that's like why it's not getting as much interest over here. Like I can't speak for the interest level in England. Like I assume like the way they talk about it here, like on the TV, it seems like it's like still this historic trophy. And like even like me who follows soccer like pretty closely or really closely, I guess, but it's like I don't care that much about it.
Yeah. What about you? What do you guys think of if they did more of a bracket style? Because right now, any teams can be drawn against each other kind of at almost any stage. I know the bigger teams enter in, I think it's the 4th or 5th round.
Yeah.
But what if they started like at the very, very beginning and they just had like, whether it's seeded or just brackets, and maybe you had like a region that had more underdogs, or you had something and you kind of, maybe up until the round of 16 or something like that, you kept smaller teams separate and kind of gave the underdogs more of a shot. Would that increase the interest level in any way for you, Christian?
No. I think that seeding is wrong. I think the bracket idea is a good idea because if you could see, okay, if we get this far, we might be able to play against this team. That's an intriguing tie. That's kind of something I would look forward to. Like, oh, I really hope they win because then we get to see two big teams clash. But there's always that chance anyway right now, and you could draw them at any time. I like that style. I like that you never know what's coming next, and I don't know if that would really increase the overall interest from fans and just from teams competing.
I think it might allow you to build a narrative a little bit more because you can look a little bit more ahead and there's not this, I don't know, 1 or 2 week turnaround time where you have to put together from a television and media coverage perspective. That's just my only thought. But nowadays with 24/7 media coverage, I think people are already doing that. So I don't know. That was just a thought that I had. Maybe Matt, I don't know, your thoughts on the seeding?
Yeah. I mean, like I would go off like last season's performance in like each league, probably
something like that. Yeah, I don't know exactly how it would work.
I like for when the big teams come in, like I don't see like any benefit from like City or Liverpool playing a 4th division team and then 2 3rd division teams like right away. And it's like I don't see the benefit for those teams.
You don't see the benefit for the lower division teams?
No, for like the Liverpool or when they're going against them in the middle of the season.
Teams on earth, like Liverpool.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
He's making a joke that Liverpool's one of the biggest teams on earth, which they are.
The biggest.
Okay. He's making a joke that they're the biggest team on earth. But yeah, I mean, I guess I understand what you're saying. Yeah, and I don't have an answer to this either. And I mean, there's plenty of people smarter than us that still haven't figured this out. But I don't know. I just feel like this competition deserves more. And, I don't know if they need to find a way to give it more credit because I think it deserves it. Anything else you want to add, Christian?
I just don't know how it's viewed over there. And it might be more of a spectacle over there, and it's like this huge thing that if you get far enough, you get to go to Wembley, and that's really the point of the competition. You really want to get to that stadium where you really don't get to play it many times in your career. A lot of those teams, they're the same teams getting there half the time, but the other half of the time is teams who maybe get there once or twice in like a generation, and it's really a cool thing that is part of the tournament. But I don't know how they're going to get more interest from fans and from teams without making it way more lucrative.
So I just had this thought. It just came to me. What if they took a month off, either maybe to kick off the season, in the middle of the season, or at the very end of the season, and just play the entire tournament in that month?
I can't imagine that.
But I feel like it would be more interesting if they just took an entire month and just said, listen, this is going to be, whether it's August, and August is going to be the FA Cup. Well, yeah, but this is at the club level. And then the Premier League season starts then in in September. I can't remember what I just said. Yeah, it starts in August. So then the Premier League season just kicks off in September. There's no midweek breaks or whatever, having to take weekends off for the FA Cup. I guess League Cup's midweek. So FA Cup's always on the weekend.
Yep. Except replays.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I don't know if that would help in any way. And maybe they do away with replays. And I know that there's a ton of history here and the reason that they do it this way. But Matt, I don't know. What about your thoughts with taking a month off? Would that be more interesting?
That would be have me more interested in the actual competition, considering that the league's I know the league's not on that month. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. But right now it's the FA Cup. I don't look forward into the schedule. Sometimes I'll be looking, I'm like, all right, what games are on this weekend? I'm like, God damn it. It's an FA Cup weekend.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, because then the other piece of this whole puzzle is that the FA Cup does seem to just kind of crop up at random times. And I know probably people in England are pulling their hair out because it's probably been done this way for 100 years and they always know when it is. But to us, that's, we're pretty hardcore soccer fans. And even to us, I think it's still sometimes a surprise when it's like, oh, it's an FA Cup weekend this weekend. But if I knew January, which is going to be FA Cup, I mean, it's easier for me to kind of wrap my head around it, maybe get more excited for the tournament. And
so if you go out early, you're just done for a month.
You get a break. And
that's way, way, way too beneficial for teams that go out early.
Maybe, but then they don't, if it's more lucrative, if you're attracting a ton more money,
Okay.
So you're
combining multiple things in there then.
Yeah.
So it is way more lucrative, and you're taking a
I think
it's all kind of related, because if there's more interest, then there's a way for you to generate more money from the tournament.
I can't imagine they're going to be able to do this in terms of fitting the whole season in if you stop for a month.
Where there's a will, there's a way. They're doing the World Cup in the middle of the season. If they really wanted to, they could find a way to do this. That's my thing. When money's involved, they'll find a way to do anything. And so that's just kind of where I come down. I don't know. I doubt that this ever does happen, but it's something to consider. Matt, I'm sorry, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I think for it to not be as beneficial to teams that go out early, just make it as early in the season as possible before fatigue is really coming into play.
Yeah, what if it just kicked off the season? If it was the month of August is just the FA Cup, and and I don't know, and maybe that's something ridiculous, and I don't know, it might not be feasible, but I don't know.
They just need to get rid of the League Cup, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think that is taking away from it, and that is taking up time where you could be playing FA Cup games. I think the FA Cup could be longer throughout the season.
What's that?
That trophy matters, he said.
City won this year. I get it.
Yeah. But yeah, if they made the FA Cup maybe more spread out throughout the year, something like the Copa del Rey does, how the DF Pokal is, they really do a good job at making it last the full season. And the final, I know the Copa del Rey, the final is a little bit earlier, but most of the German league, the Italian league, they're towards the end of the season, almost the last week or 2 weeks before the last week. That's more interesting to me.
Than what? Than the FA Cup being after the season? Or
yeah, but they start early in the year.
Okay.
And they take long breaks in between. I think that would be more interesting if maybe only an FA Cup game would be once a month instead of maybe once every 2 weeks like it is.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting point, because then you could do what I was kind of getting at, when just the third week in the month is always an FA Cup weekend. And then that way you just know, with the schedule, and that gets more into the cadence of fans know what to expect and when, maybe you could do something like that. I don't know. We're all just spitballing here. Matt, thoughts?
Yeah, great idea.
Thanks. I appreciate it. We're just solving problems over here. Matt, anything else you wanted to add about FA Cup stuff?
Nah.
All right. I know we were going to touch on some of the other cup competitions in other countries. I mean, you kind of already touched on
because I'm good.
DFB Pokal, and the U.S. Open Cup has its own set of issues in the U.S., and I'm sure we can save that for
how the Union make the final, host it, and lose.
Yep. I'm sure we can save
twice in a row.
Yep. I was there in person. And,
Same.
It's still heart-wrenching, so I appreciate you bringing that up. So thanks for that.
I brought up a lot of heart-wrenching stuff.
I know. Appreciate that. All right. That brings us to the end of our first segment. We appreciate you sticking with us, and you're going to hear a little bit of music, and we will talk to you very soon. Great job, guys. Anyone who's watching on YouTube, feel free to leave a comment and just let us know. Say hello.
Hello.
We'd love to hear from you. Let us know if you have thoughts on anything we're discussing. If you want us to talk about something else, that'd be swell too. So just go ahead, leave a comment, and Matt's pretty swole. You working out? Is that why you're sleeveless?
No, I'm just low on laundry. Slow on laundry.
Low on laundry. All right. Gambling.
Gambling.
All right. Welcome back, everyone. Getting into our second segment, let's talk about some things going on over on this side of the Atlantic in North America. So specifically in the United States, a law was recently repealed by the U.S. Supreme Court, basically opening up gambling on a widespread scale in the United States. What are you laughing at?
Matt and I both are yawning.
Yeah, that's always a great start to a segment. So feel free to buckle up, everyone. I'm sure this is going to be super interesting. So this is my world. Anyone who doesn't know, I have a fantasy soccer website and have just kind of been following this story very, very closely. If you want to learn more, I'd be happy to talk about it. So feel free to send me a tweet or something like that, and I can get more into details on everything. But more or less, basically, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down this law that forbid gambling on a widespread scale, and now it's going to be allowed, and states have the ability to kind of regulate it themselves. And so there's going to be a lot of legislation coming out over the next year, basically legalizing gambling, and it's going to be very different from state to state in all likelihood. Matt, want to get your thoughts. Are you for or against gambling on sports? And obviously we're going to cater this more towards soccer. So are you pro or against?
I'm pro.
Okay, and why is that?
Well, I think right now it's everyone not everyone, a lot of people I know are already gambling like illegally now, I guess. It's like a huge culture in the United States that like so many people I know are doing it anyway. Like the players know like what the lines are and like all the sports. They know what, the repercussions of those bets are going to be. Because Vegas already had like the lines because it was legal in Vegas and that was it, right?
Yep. Not technically. There were three other states that had.
Was it Jersey?
No, it was Delaware was one of them, and I don't remember the other two. But they weren't like Vegas was typical like sports gambling that we all think of. Delaware had some like parlay stuff going on.
Like I don't think it's gonna
parlay.
I don't think it's gonna like shake like the whole sports world. Well, not the whole sport, the whole American like sports culture, just because it's legalized. I just think it makes it, just kind of an easier way to access, all your gambling methods.
Yeah. Yes, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think so.
So, do you think so? There's no risks for you for that the games being impacted, the competition being compromised.
Look, I don't think that. No, I don't think so anyway. Because like an article came out. Like last week, it was like Ron Artest when he was in college was offered $35,000 to throw a game. And it's like that. This has been like in the United States for so long. Like you could always bet through somebody somehow. So I think it's not going to affect how the games are played.
Yeah, and if anything, bringing it into the mainstream might be better, and there's more awareness for it, more technology, regulating it, might be a good thing. Christian, your thoughts here? Are you for or against it?
I'm for it. I think that it already exists, so why not just steer into the skid? I mean, you can see it already with the
skid. Whoa, that was a good metaphor. I don't know, not euphemism.
It's definitely not a euphemism.
Not a
guys.
euphemism. That is the wrong word.
Dave's really good with words.
God damn it.
I don't even know what you were trying to say there.
No, it's like a saying. I was trying to say it's a saying. There's a word for a saying. I don't know.
Just continue,
please, dear God. I know, but I was trying to sound smart. Okay, guys.
It's a thesaurus.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely for it overall. I think that like I said, it already exists. There could be a lot of money in this, both for like as a government regulated event. Like I think that it is something that a lot of money could be made on, similar to what they're doing with marijuana across the country. It's a lucrative business to go, oh, look at this guy. It just really could go a long way in terms of raising money for the government, but I think just for the league. Yeah, I was getting to that. Okay. But yeah, I appreciate you helping me out.
I'm here for you.
I really appreciate that.
I'm trying to speed this thing along.
His words, his words are helping out now. He's just all over the place. Yeah, pretty much everyone that I hang out with and that watch sports pretty much are gambling at this point. And I don't like to do it because I like to either support my team or just watch for the fun of it. But a lot of people get really emotionally invested in it, and it honestly generates a lot of fandom just by betting on it. And I think that increases the overall spectacle of the sport.
Yeah, it's proven to increase engagement. Almost most studies will tell you that. I've already touched on what Matt was talking about. I think increased interest in the sports and through gambling is going to create these regulations and these bodies to follow things more closely. So I don't think there's any risk of things being more compromised. I think if anything, it's going to be better, because right now you have all this going on under the table and it's very shady. And, if leagues can formalize it and make money from it, I think there's less likelihood of anything going wrong. And to that point, is $150 billion industry in the U.S. right now is on illegal gambling. Most of that is on the NFL, but there's definitely a portion that is also related to soccer. And most things of what I'm seeing is a 1% tax being levied on the gambling activity for the sports leagues. So sports leagues would basically get 1% of all that. So you're talking about 1.5 billion or 15 billion. Yeah, 1.5 billion. Maths. $1.5 billion going to sports leagues. Again, most of that's going to be the NFL, but soccer is going to get a big portion of that. And, even if MLS, if you're talking about, I don't know, maybe $100 million or something like that, that's not an insignificant sum of money, especially for the league right now. And on a broader scale,
although they turned down $600 million, or is that was U.S. soccer?
That was U.S. soccer. And, well, no, MLS, I think, turned down another deal for $4 billion over 10 years. To institute promotion and relegation, but there was other complications from that. But all I'm trying to get at is there's money to be made here, and from a moral standpoint, it's always been illegal, and I don't necessarily agree with that. Like a lot of us are saying, anecdotally, we know tons of people that are already gambling, so I'm fine with this being legalized, and I don't think there's a risk of competition being compromised. I think if anything, it is what's up.
That was a good word.
Thank you. If anything, it is going to help that, and there's money to be made here. So I'm for it in every which way. So, Matt, anything else you wanted to add?
No. I don't think so.
All right, thanks. Christian?
I don't think that, I know you asked Matt this, I didn't touch on it. I think that the performance of the players and just teams, I don't think that's going to affect anything. I don't think there's going to be any throwing of the games. I think it already exists, and if it was going to happen, it's going to happen anyway. I don't think it's going to increase the chances of that, and like you said, I think it may even decrease it with regulations and potential to get caught and having everything just being followed now. It's in like the black market almost, under the table, like you said. It's going to be so much better now that it's out there, and I think that it could go a long way to improving both fandom and financial security in this league.
Yeah. Well, I also think it's really hard unless like you're a goalie to throw a soccer game.
It's tough.
I mean, it looked like Higuain was throwing games for Argentina.
Poor Higuain. No, I mean, that's a good point, Matt, especially in it's a lot easier in more individualized sports to have that happen, whereas soccer, there's a lot going on. Like Alexi Lalas actually touched on this in a recent podcast where he didn't say specifically. Yeah, he didn't say specifically that he knew anything was definitely happening, but he knew the game was tied. And when he came up for a corner, like his captain basically told him, like, hey, like, don't score this or something along those lines. That was on his State of the Union podcast, his most recent one. So anyone who wants to go check that out, he talks about it there. But so like it's very tough, Matt. I agree with you, for one player to be able to control and throw a soccer game if he's not the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So good point. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, wow. Thanks.
No problem.
Just had to bring up Alexi Lalas in your point.
I know.
Yeah,
that's
I know.
What I'm
well,
saying.
it's because he's like kind of like a personal hero, and I just love everything he says.
Just don't even say that. It's not even funny.
I'm joking for anybody who may not know that. I am not a hater of Alexi. I think he plays an interesting role in the soccer world, and so I understand what he's doing. So
you're not a big old jelly hater?
No, I am not. Christian, anything else to add in closing?
I'm good.
Matt, I think you've already said you're good. All right, that's the end of our second segment.
No, not me.
You're going to hear a little bit more music, and then we're going to talk to you in our third and final segment. Talk to you soon. All right, good job, Matt. Take all the attention.
What's that? Was that bird?
There's like a window. You know how they knock down?
PI. What is that? What is that? Is that a bird?
You know how they knock down Kildares?
No.
Yeah.
The old Hooters?
Yeah, old Hooters. Yeah, they built like the biggest apartment building. In State
I know. I saw it. It's ridiculous.
It's absurd. Yeah, so it's like that's my window looks out right next to it. I'm right next to it.
Is it taller than the one that was at like where Target is?
It looks. How many floors is that?
He's gonna lose his attention. Forget what he's doing.
12 or it's like 13 floors if you count the ground floor.
Okay. Wow. If you count the ground.
Do you count the ground?
Do you count?
I don't know because I never know because some buildings start like a G and then go 1 and then some just go.
The G and then 1 I think is bullshit. It needs to go G and then 2. I'm fine if you don't call the first floor.
I never know how
or whatever. Or you call it lobby.
I'm in a G unit.
What are you talking about?
You like a unit on the first floor?
Yeah.
But you're on the G.
Yes.
So G unit.
All right.
Or are you in unit G?
Oh. You could be.
All right.
Could be unit G on G.
Dad wants to go for a walk. All right, let's get this thing.
Go for a walk?
All right, rapid fire on this last section. We're gonna try to that's gonna be our new thing.
Yeah. Last
Okay, yeah. Quick. So all I want to say to that building is like a window is just open and like it looks like birds are flying in.
Oh yeah, sorry. We didn't let you finish that.
The bird lady.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back, everyone, to our third and final segment. Rapid fire here. We're going to talk about some other stories from around the soccer world. So what's going on right now is all the countries are releasing their World Cup rosters. So I wanted to get your guys' thoughts real quick on some of the surprise inclusions and exclusions on these rosters. Christian, do you have thoughts? Don't take mine because I know you're looking at my notes.
Damn,
here.
I was going to say one of them.
All right, you can say one of them.
Okay, Nangalan was a little bit of a shock for me. Everybody, you can talk about it too. It's fine. Yeah. I can't believe he retired though after, but I guess
that may be an emotional thing. Yeah, I don't know
Messi
if he'll stay retired
too.
Yeah.
So I would
half
be surprised.
of Argentina retired.
Yeah, he's too good to not be playing at the international level, and I don't know why he's not being taken with Belgium. I think that's a huge loss for them in midfield, and they're gonna regret that decision, in my opinion. I think they could have gone really far in this World Cup. They still have talent, but that's a big loss. There are a lot that I'm a little bit surprised with on France. I think the left back situation, I already went into this, but Mendy, I think, has no business being there. He has not played enough this year, and I know you love him, Matt. I know he's a good player, but Kurzawa and Digne, absolutely one of those two should have gone. They played all year long and are very good players.
Not as good as Mendy.
Yes.
France is trying to win that thing. You pick the best player.
They're not going to win.
Is that a guarantee?
I'm guaranteed. Sign off on it right now.
All right.
They could.
They couldn't even win the Euro in their home country.
Sometimes there's too much pressure on you when you're hosting it.
But
they lost to Portugal. Come on.
You only made it to the final.
Who the hell scored?
It's embarrassing. Adair.
Yeah, Adair. Hey, the great Adair. Nobody's stopping that. Matt, surprise inclusions or exclusions on rosters for you?
I mean, you guys talked about France. There's just a lot. They had too much talent there. I think you could make an argument for a couple players being left on and some being or left off and then some being taken. But I think they're just so deep. Fellaini in Belgium. I actually like that because he just brings like a whole new element. Like everyone on Twitter right now is freaking out about like Fellaini's on the team and Nainggolan's not. But like I think Fellaini just brings something like completely different than Nainggolan, like, or more than like almost any midfielder. I'm not gonna say any midfielder. He just brings something that only a handful of midfielders bring in the world. So I'm fine with that. He is world class. So.
No, but that's a really good point. That these rosters aren't just the 23 best players. It's you want to have flexibility in your roster.
And it's like the same thing with Giroud.
You've taken both of them.
Yeah, okay. Well, like Giroud making the France starting striker, and then like somebody like Lacazette's not, but it's like Giroud brings something completely different than the other forwards have right now, whereas Lacazette is smaller like the other forwards.
No, yeah, I think it's ridiculous that Giroud went over Lacazette.
I love Giroud's game, and to Matt's, I think Matt's bringing up the right point.
Yeah, and another thing I just want to touch on is like Argentina. I looked at their squad. I don't think they're good.
No, I've been saying this, and you guys have been laughing at me.
You have no idea. That firepower up front is frightening.
Yeah, but their back is a freaking tire fire. Is Romero the starting goalkeeper? Who the hell is their starting goalkeeper?
Looking at the goalie list, it was like it's Romero, Caballero, and some other
backups.
Guy. Yeah, I was like, they don't even have a starting goalie.
Yeah, and their defense is a mess. Is Mascherano on the roster? I forgot to check. Mascherano's on the roster. He's 35, playing in China. Like, I don't understand.
He was the captain for a while. He's a leader.
So
it doesn't mean he's going to start.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a good personality to have in the locker room.
I agree with that to an extent, but I just would expect more from a country like Argentina to have a better roster. And, I mean, we'll talk about the World Cup. We're going to do, I think, a preview, like a blowout preview for the World Cup, probably in, the World Cup's coming up. So probably within the next few weeks, we were going to get Mark Lawson on Game Day Tourist. We've had him before, bring him on. We can get his thoughts on the FA Cup too. We were talking about that before. For me, exclusion, surprised. I was pretty surprised about Wilshere not being there. Again, I think to Matt's point, he brings something different that a lot of the England team doesn't have. But
they have world-class players like Loftus-Cheek in there.
Yeah, exactly. But Gareth Southgate has been pretty upfront and they're committed to, it seems like a 3-5-2. They're going to play this way, and they're just bringing players that fit that system. And there's a certain point, I mean, you got to respect that, especially at the World Cup. The World Cup. I mean, he brings something, I think, different that no one else on that roster really brings. And so
I think you could take someone like Callum Wilson, who had a better season and starts for his team every week.
Yeah, but is he an injury risk?
No.
No? He's good now?
Yeah, he hasn't been injured all year.
Okay, I haven't been following his game too much, so that name.
You got a lot of informs on FIFA this year.
Well, that's all that matters. Christian, anything else real quick before we move on?
Yeah, Icardi not making Argentina, I think, is a mistake. And I know you think they have a lot of mistakes on that roster over there. Or do you just think they don't have? Yeah. They just don't have.
Didn't they only bring four? They only brought 4 forwards.
Top teams.
But who on defense? They have a ton of attacking talent. But who do they have running a midfield? And who do they have? Defensive
they have
midfield
Rojo,
and back.
They have Otamendi.
I don't think players is Rojo. Rojo hasn't even been playing really. And Otamendi, I know we've talked about this in the past, but I just do not rate him that highly. I think he's fine, but I don't think he's that good. And don't they have Funes Mori? Is he playing for them?
I think he's on the roster.
Yeah. So and he didn't play at all for a pretty poor Everton side all year. Matt, I'm sorry, you were saying something while we were arguing.
Oh, Brazil. Who didn't make it? Like Alexandro. He didn't make it, but he also played left wing pretty much at Juventus this year, and he had from what I've kind of what it seems like from Juventus fans, he didn't have a great performance all season, but it's just him being left off. And wait, was Felipe Luis left off too? Or did he make it?
I think he's on it.
I think he's on it.
Oh yeah, he's on it. But just Brazil, I mean, they have so much talent that some good players are always going to be left off.
Yeah, so for me, that wasn't too much of a surprise. Real quick.
One last thing, sorry. Yeah. Marcus Alonso not making it over Nacho Monreal is a freaking shock to me. I have no idea how that went under the radar and people aren't talking about that.
I mean, Monreal had a pretty good season.
Yeah, he had a really good season.
Marcus Alonso is...
I think Alonso is very attacking oriented, but I don't think he's a great defender. And I think he fits very well into
He would fit very well into that type of Spanish team.
I don't think any of the Spain defenders really defend very well, but they're all good as a unit.
Yeah, they're probably not going to play anyway unless Jordi Alba gets injured, but still. I think he's more of a Jordi Alba style than Nacho.
But Monreal can play center back too, right? He played both for Arsenal this year. And
he's not going to play center. He's in a 3-back, he can, but he can't play center back.
All right, maybe not.
Didn't he play center back this year?
In a 3-back.
Yeah, he plays in a 3-back system, but I think he offers you a little bit more flexibility.
They already have Azpilicueta for that. They don't really need another one.
He's right-sided, right?
Yeah.
So the more flexibility you can have on a roster, the better. And I think Monreal is a little bit more flexible. He can defend better. He's probably not as good attacking, but I think he's a little bit more flexible. So for a World Cup roster, I think he makes more sense.
Okay.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Unai Emery being appointed as Arsenal manager. So we were going to talk about Mikel Arteta being appointed as Arsenal manager.
Changed today.
And yeah, luckily we're recording this thing a day later than we usually do, and so that's probably for the best. Matt, what were your thoughts upon hearing this?
I mean, I thought for me, as a City fan, I've been following this kind of closely because I thought Arteta was going to go. That's what it seemed like from a lot of the reports. So for City, I mean, hopefully he stays. It was a good season. Or no, he's been there for 2. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, he's been there for 2 years. Yeah. I mean, he's learning a lot from Pep, so I think that's great. I think he's a great influence on the locker room. You know, he's kind of like a young coach. I always like younger coaches because I feel like they can relate to the players more. But Mori, or no, why
Emery.
Emery. Yeah, I don't know why I just said Mori. Yeah, Emery.
Markovic.
More.
Yeah, he apparently I found out he doesn't speak English, which I'm never a fan of going into a different league and not speaking the language of the country. I mean, hopefully he learns like as much as he can this summer, but like, I never like that type of culture where like you can't communicate as well with your manager.
That's a really good point, Christian. Your thoughts?
Didn't Wenger not speak any English when he came in?
No, Wenger spoke like 5 or 6 languages.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought he.
Conte, I think, struggled with English, but he took English lessons because he knew he was getting the job. I think for a while ahead of time.
That's what Ancelotti did that for Bayern, and he got kind of sacked from Bayern,
and that went great.
Sorry, I think that. Emery is a little bit of an interesting one. I had a conversation with one of my group chats on my phone with some of my friends about. I have friends.
What's that like?
Yeah,
I know you guys just sit in your apartments all by yourself all day. They're talking about how they don't understand it. Like one of them asked, "Who's Emery?" Which I was like, "What? How do you possibly not?"
Was he being serious?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean,
good work, Luke.
We do. we do follow soccer probably a little bit more than most. Yeah.
But it was really surprising that people don't know who he is. He won 2 Europa Leagues with Sevilla. Did he win all 3?
I think 3 straight with Sevilla.
Are you?
No, or did
I don't
he
think
leave
he was there for
and
that
they
first
won their
one.
third?
I thought he wasn't there for the first one they won.
No, he was definitely there when they won their first.
Well,
I don't know if he
wasn't
was
there for all 3. I know so he got them into the Champions League a couple of years.
Yep.
He did very well there, and he won 3 trophies. And I know you're at PSG, and they expect to win that, but 3 trophies is a lot of trophies.
Yeah, but he definitely struggled with that locker room, right?
Yeah, he definitely did. But
how much, like we were saying, like how much you put on the manager, how much you just like, what are you going to do about Cavani and Neymar when they're both being little bitches?
No, that's a good point. Bitches.
Yeah. He's a good manager, and I don't know how good he's going to do with Arsenal. I think that's even a tougher job than going to PSG. I think he's got a whole rebuilding process to do, and PSG had more money than Arsenal are going to have. But if he does well, they're going to love him there, and I don't think it's going to be the way that it was at PSG. I think Arsenal fans are a little more forgiving, even though the past couple of years they haven't been.
Are they more forgiving? Why do you think
they
that?
will? I think they have lower expectations than PSG do.
Okay, so that's fair.
And so they're not going to be coming in thinking, oh, he's going to lead us to the title this first year. He's got to really focus on that back line and building from that back line because they have the attacking talent already. They just need to work from the back forward, and I think they could really improve the midfield too. But their front line is very good between Lacazette and Aubameyang, and Ozil is incredibly creative. And if they can get the right manager in there to get them all playing well, they could be scoring types of games like Liverpool had early in this year where they're conceding 4 or 5 goals, but they're scoring 6 or 7. Yeah. And that didn't really happen. But like that type of style of games where it's just really, really open and creative. And I think he does like that style of play. That's what Emery seems to play every time I've seen him.
So Sevilla, I would probably compare them more to like probably right below the Big 6 in England. So whether that's Everton or Leicester or whoever you want to compare that to in England, I would say that they kind of fit into that mold rather than
I think they fit more into like a Tottenham mold.
Okay. So what I was getting at with my question is this still too? I think the PSG job was a little bit too big for him.
2 Copa del Rey finals as well while he was there.
But what I'm getting at is the club allowed him to kind of be the focal point. The same way like Mauricio Pochettino has really been able to put his stamp on Tottenham. Like Emery definitely had that at Sevilla. He definitely did not have that at PSG. I don't know if he will get that at Arsenal because I don't know if he has earned that yet. Is there any risk, Matt, for you?
Would Arteta have done that? I don't think he's earned that right.
He at least played there.
Yeah. there's that. He speaks the language at least, and there might be an element of respect, Matt. So what you were saying.
Yeah.
Thoughts? No?
Oh, I thought you were asking Matt first.
Yeah, but Matt...
Yeah, you were asking me something, and then it kind of... What were you going to ask me?
So I was just going to ask you on if the job was too big for Emery at Arsenal still, because it seemed like the PSG job was too big.
No, I don't think it's too big. I don't even think the PSG job was too big per se. It's just the expectation, like just what the environment he's coming into at both of those clubs. I think is going to be difficult for any manager, other than maybe like Pep, where like Pep brings like everyone knows, all right, we have to adapt, or we're going to sit our ass on the bench, like what happened with a couple of City players. Like, I mean, not everyone's going to love him, but like he adapts everyone to that culture.
Well, that's what I mean. So
that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think but he's earned that. I don't think there's many other managers in the world that have necessarily earned that. I think Klopp's getting up there. I think I'm not going to list them all right now, but like I'm saying, like, there's like only a handful of managers.
Pochettino's probably got it.
Yeah, that like can just like completely get everyone on board with their culture, or they're going to sit.
Mourinho
Whereas
can't
like
do that.
It's true.
Yeah, like when he came into that situation with Neymar, like what are you going to do? Sit Neymar?
No, I don't know if there is a right answer, but I just wanted to ask the question. Christian, last thoughts here?
Yeah, I'm just kind of glad Arteta didn't get it, because I don't want to see Xabi Alonso at any other Premier League team. Then he was going to be his assistant.
Was he going to be there?
And I don't want to see that.
Okay.
Where with that?
We're rational. All right, last thing. Gigi Buffon to PSG. So Gigi Buffon is leaving Juventus. He's played his last match for them. He has announced that, but he very specifically did not say that he was retiring. And reportedly, he is now meeting with PSG. Christian, thoughts on this, both from a PSG perspective and a Buffon perspective? What do you think of him potentially going to PSG?
Great from PSG, bad from I don't know. I just feel like it's a bad move from Buffon. I don't think he needs to continue his career at this point. I mean, if he feels he can, then more power to him. But he has really become a legend. And I think going to a new team where he's in a whole new situation, a whole new culture.
Make that pay.
Yeah, especially at PSG, he will. But I just think it's a bad move for his legacy, because if he has a downturn in form the way that Czech has, people are kind of remembering Czech as what he's been the last couple of years, as opposed to what he was at Chelsea. I think it's not great decision from him. And Buffon is probably the best goalkeeper over the last 20 years, but it's tough. I mean, Neuer has been a freak of nature, but he hasn't had that consistency and he hasn't been around as long. I think that it's a good move from him if he continues to play at that level, but if he doesn't, I think it's a risk.
Okay. Matt, thoughts?
I don't get this from anybody's side. PSG, are they selling Areola or something?
I don't know. I'm with you, Matt. It doesn't make any sense.
They still have Trapp too. They have two like young goalies right now. Like, why are you going after? What is he 40?
He's 40.
Yeah, he's 40.
Yeah, and also with that point, it's like I don't know if his legacy is going to be harmed if he drops off at 40, 41. Like, it's like, all right, hang it up, old timer.
Yeah.
Like, he had a great run. I think everyone knows his legacy. He's already retired from international stage. So it's like it's not like everyone's going to see on the international stage if he's falling off. And if it's in France, when they have three goalies, I assume if he's falling off, like PSG is going to run away with the league, I assume again.
Probably.
So I don't think it's too much pressure on him.
Yeah. Also, I don't think his game is predicated on athleticism as much as other goalkeepers are. He's very much a communicator and a positioning type of guy. So his game has aged well, and so that has been good for him. But I'm with Matt. Like it doesn't make sense from any perspective for me.
Do you think PSG is his only option? Because I see multiple other options.
I don't think it's his only option.
Some other Premier League options, and that would be really surprising for him to go to that type of a league. I would be surprised to see him in the Premier League.
I would be surprised to see him in the Premier League. I think PSG might make sense if he wants to keep playing. I think probably moving outside of Italy is his only realistic option, because I don't think he wants to play for any other Italian team. But it doesn't it doesn't make sense for me from a PSG perspective, exactly what Matt brought up. And from a Buffon perspective, I mean, if he wants to keep playing, he's perfectly entitled to keep playing as long as somebody's willing to keep paying him and as long as he feels like his body is up to it. And so
Become an MLS.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's just odd to me because I just assumed he would retire at Juve. But anything else you want to add real quick in closing, Matt?
Yeah, that is kind of strange why he didn't just retire there.
It's confusing to me as well. Christian?
Was he from Torino? Where was his?
No, he started, I think, at Palermo.
Parma.
And then he...
Was it Parma?
It may have been Parma.
I think it's Parma.
Is it Parma?
So, I mean, that'd been cool for him to go back there maybe before he retired. But I think it's a weird decision not to retire at Juventus or Parma. I don't like the decision to leave. That's just my thoughts.
All right. So before we get to our last listener questions here real quick, wanted to give a couple quick plugs. So I'm the founder of a fantasy soccer website, FanFutsal. Already mentioned it earlier in the podcast. Please go check it out, fanfutsal.com. We're simplifying fantasy soccer, making it easier for all soccer fans to play.
And this gambling thing.
Yeah, this gambling thing might have implications on all of that. And I do a vlog every Wednesday if you want to learn more about everything I got going on there. So be sure to check that out. And also, we have a YouTube channel called The Soccer Tavern where we're making videos about the history, culture, and philosophy of the beautiful game. I'm releasing national team history videos for all of the World Cup teams. Today, we just released our Group A videos. So Russia, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Uruguay came out today. And we'll have Group B probably coming out later this week. So be sure to please go check them out. Really appreciate it. Yeah, true us. First listener question is coming to us from at KerC17. So Christopher Kerr. He said, all the U.S. guys on loan overseas, how their seasons after the World Cup. Okay. Yep, it was cut off there. So that was terrible read job. But he basically is asking how the U.S. players who were on loan overseas, how their seasons went and their best options after the World Cup. So I know I have some thoughts, Christian. I don't know if you have any players that immediately came to mind or wanted to talk about.
In terms of loaned?
Yeah,
players?
In terms of loan. So I know I have my notes up here. So if you want to take a look at them.
I don't want to steal your answers.
No, that's fine. Let's just keep it going because we're running a little long here. So, okay, Matt, do you have thoughts on any players?
I'm trying to think of like which ones were loaned and which ones were sold. And wait, so was Julian Green?
He was loaned.
Okay, yeah, he had a kind of like a coming back season where he performed like a little bit better than he performed.
Got called up to US.
He actually performed this season. Where like after the World Cup, he was at Bayern and you kind of just didn't hear from him for like 3 years. Yeah. So I mean, him kind of bringing his name back was pretty big for me. I'm excited about that.
The way that he was treated though.
I mean,
he brought Stuttgart up, right?
No, he wasn't really involved at Stuttgart. So from all accounts, he has been somewhat of a problem, like mentally and like professionalism. I mean, like devoted to training, not like mentally, like, I don't know, like issues. I more mean like bringing focus all day, every day. There have been reports about that particular issue. So in all likelihood, I mean, Stuttgart finished 7th in the Bundesliga. I think it's going to be tough for him to walk back into that lineup. He was on loan at Greuther Fürth, who I believe were in the 2nd division and only just barely stayed up. So in all likelihood, I don't know if Stuttgart is the best place for him. So look out for him to maybe make a move. Novakovic, I think that's how he wants his name pronounced, but he was on loan at Telstar in the 2nd division in the Netherlands. He's headed back to Reading in the 2nd division in England. He had a really good, prolific goal-scoring season, but the Netherlands is kind of known for having lots of goals, so don't know how that's necessarily going to translate. He's a big body.
So did Josie.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Well, exactly. And Josie was in the 1st division, so this guy was in the 2nd division. He's similar to Josie. He's a big-bodied dude, but he doesn't play big, so I don't know if that's necessarily going to translate to England. Maybe a move somewhere else might be best for him, but hopefully he does well. Matt Biazga did really well on loan at Vitesse. He was captaining them by the end of the year. Vitesse in the Netherlands, so the 1st division, but they were, I think towards the top. Vitesse, I believe that's how you say it.
Okay.
I thought that was.
Yeah, that's how most of it. But for him, I mean, the Chelsea coaching carousel is just a nightmare for young players. I mean, you see their youth teams are winning every single trophy and none of their players can get into the lineup. So I think it's probably best for him to move to another club, whether that's England, Netherlands, because he's performed there, or Germany. I think his game would translate well to any of those. And finally, Cameron Carter-Vickers, who was on loan from Tottenham to Sheffield United. I think he was at Ipswich earlier in the season. He had an inconsistent season, but finally stabilized and was performing well towards the end of the year. He signed a new deal with Tottenham, but I just don't see him breaking through into the lineup in any way.
I mean, their defenders are getting up there in age. I mean, it's not like for a club like Tottenham, like they're gonna probably be able to just buy somebody and replace them. That's like the thing. Yeah, it's really hard to come up from like being the backup to actually.
Tottenham probably have the best defense in England, so I can't imagine him breaking through there.
Yeah, and Alderweireld is on his way out, though. I mean, all reports are saying that he's
Vertonghen is how old now?
Vertonghen's 31. He's 31, so he's getting older. And the thing is, CCV, Cameron Carter-Vickers, had an opportunity. I want to say it was 2 years ago, and he got a little bit of time, and he just wasn't ready, and that's when he started all these loans out. And so I just think it's going to be tough for him to break through there. I mean, I certainly hope he does, and he signed the new contract, so they're committed to him, but I don't know. I don't know if he's going to break out, but wanted to give a quick plug for a couple of websites if you're really interested on Americans and young players. So there's a Twitter account, Young Americans Abroad. We'll link to that in our show notes. We'll also link to Soccer by Ives has an Americans Abroad category if you want to keep tabs on American players. And finally, Stars and Stripes FC also has a USMNT Americans Abroad section. So we'll link to all those in our show notes. Finally, at World Hotspur, avid listener, so we appreciate him always sending in questions. Do young players in big clubs, so like Manchester United, City, Spurs, Chelsea, Liverpool, etc., do they get a fair opportunity to progress to the first team, or are they better served moving to somewhere like the Bundesliga and getting more minutes there? Christian, thoughts?
I think it depends on the team. I think City have started with Pep introducing a couple of younger players. It seems like Liverpool under Klopp has done the same thing, but teams like Tottenham, teams like Chelsea, teams like United, it doesn't seem like a lot of their young players get through. Yes, Rashford and Lingard just did, but before that, it's been a long time.
Lingard was 24. I don't even count him as a young player.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But a lot of these players are not getting their chances at all. And it's tough to watch because there's such good players in their youth academies, especially with teams like Chelsea who win everything at the youth level.
Yeah, their U18s just won, I think, the quadruple.
Yeah.
Before we go on, I love that World Hotspur just disregarded Arsenal as the big clubs.
Oh, that's
that
well
is
done.
great.
That's
I didn't
good
even
trolling.
see it. And Arsenal haven't been good at it either anyway, but,
but he's a Spurs
irrelevant,
fan,
so it doesn't matter. I think that there are teams that do, but I think it is better for them probably to go out on loan, if I was to guess. And I think it's probably best for them to go to the Championship. That seems where a lot of them kind of thrive because they're still in English culture and they're getting a taste of what it's like to be in the Premier League without being at that level yet.
On loan rather than moving permanently somewhere else?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that gives them a chance at least, and then maybe they come in, show what they can do. And
okay. Matt, your thoughts?
I think they get a fair I think it depends on the manager at the time because each manager values youth differently and like how long they expect to be at a club, and if they expect to be at a club, you know, I know anymore it's not like Arsene Wenger's or Ferguson's are coming around just stay at a club for 20 years. So I mean, like if a coach, Pep's gonna be at City, just signed to 2021. He has a couple years, so I think that's why he's kind of investing in youth. He knows he wants to be at City, and I don't think he's worried about his job security.
The club's the same way at Liverpool.
Right, so it's like they have the opportunity to play the young players. I'm not a big fan of actually loaning out players. I feel like when you loan them out, your team learns to like play without them, and they don't get a chance to like really adapt to your culture and like that coach's culture and the whole team culture. So I think a handful of players do get a fair opportunity to get into the first team, but they have to perform like so quick or else they'll just get loaned out.
Yeah, and for me, I personally agree that the loan system, there's no incentive for a team that has a player on loan unless there's a buyout clause to really play a specific player. So for me, I think they are better served moving permanently to a Bundesliga or a Netherlands or somewhere like that, where they can learn, they can make mistakes because that's going to happen as a youth player and really kind of season themselves and then end up moving to a better league. But it's easy for me to say you don't get a ton of opportunities to play in the Premier League. And so there's certainly no guarantee that you'll be able to come back. But I think for the best part of your career or the best chance at developing and becoming that high level player, it's betting on yourself to go somewhere else, get playing time, really get seasoned, and then come back a better player, because the only way you really get better is playing in actual games.
Well, what do you think about loaning player or not loaning, but selling players with the like
Buyback
2-year
clause.
buyback clause?
That's so weird. I mean, in that,
I mean, Barcelona do it all the time.
Yeah, they do it all the time. And in that sense, there is an incentive to play the players, and if they increase in value, that's great.
I mean, Kingsley Coman did it. James Rodriguez has been doing it. Like it happens with big clubs, between big clubs even.
Yeah. So I think in that it's a little bit different than just a straight up loan.
Morata too. He was at Juve and Madrid called him back.
Yeah, exactly. That's a little bit different.
Yeah, he got left off with Spain. That was pretty surprising.
Deulofeu was the same way with Everton.
Yeah, Morata was on my list, but we were running a little long, so I decided to move on. All right, with that, anything else you want to add on this topic or other topics, Christian?
Congratulations, Iniesta. Thank you for everything.
Yeah, we tweeted out some amazing photos of him from his last game, so check that out on our Twitter. Matt, anything else you want to
add? No.
Okay. Are we? Do we know where Iniesta is going yet?
No.
Okay. So
City.
We'll be following that closely. Christian, you want to recap our trivia question? We will give our guesses.
Trivia question is, do you know the World Cup with the lowest average attendance and the highest average attendance? Okay. How many you think it is, where it was, and what year?
Okay. Matt, you want to give your guess?
So average attendance for like each
World
match,
Cup.
I assume?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say like 1954. This is like probably 18,000 people.
Okay. That was going to be my guess as well. That was in Sweden, correct?
Switzerland.
All right. What was the one in Sweden? Was that 58? Okay. I'm guessing 58 then. That's the lowest.
That's your lowest?
That's my lowest one.
Okay. Oh yeah. Highest. I'm gonna just say Brazil. Sure. Did they have big stadiums? The recent one?
Okay.
Oh wait, didn't they used to be able to pack people in?
Yes.
Yeah. So
shit.
So 1950, that's when Brazil had it the other time. Do you want to say that one?
Yeah. Let me go there.
I'm going to say the U.S. World Cup in 94. I'm pretty confident in that one. I think I've read that multiple times that was the highest attended one. I'm going to say average attendance at that was like 73,000, and the Sweden one was like 25,000.
All right. Average attendance highest was the U.S. with 68,991.
Okay. That was close.
Which is really, really high. The next most is like 17,000 behind it.
Yeah, wow. Our stadiums are just so much bigger.
And the lowest average attendance was 1938 World Cup
Italy.
In France. 20,872.
34 was Italy. How many?
20,872.
Okay. All right. Good trivia. Very, very interesting. We're going to be doing World Cup trivia, right?
Yep, probably through the World Cup.
Through the World Cup. Awesome. So be sure to look out for that. Hey, thank you for being here. We really appreciate you all listening. We greatly appreciate it. If you would be so kind and like what we're doing here, we would, again, greatly appreciate it if you left us a review on iTunes or whatever podcasting platform that you listen to us. Yeah, that would just mean a lot to us. We would greatly appreciate that. We will link to all of the stories we discussed here in our show notes. Be sure to check them out. We will also tweet them out from our Bros Talking Soccer Twitter handle, which is @BTSoccerPod. If you want to get in contact with us, our email is bros.talking.soccer@gmail.com, as Matthew yawns. We have a website, brostalkingsoccerpodcast.com. You can read about us, check out past episodes, and so much more. We record this thing live on YouTube. Be sure to follow us, and you can watch us live, watch our past episodes, and all of that. Christian, thanks for being here. I'm going to miss you. I'm going to be back west
so much.
For the next few months.
Yeah, get out of my room.
So sad. Matt, thank you for being here.
Yeah, I'll miss you too.
All right. Miss you too. And listeners, thank you so much. We'll miss you until we talk again next week. See you, everyone.
Bye.
All right. Time to go for a walk.
He's yawning again.
All right.
You want to go for a walk?
Get some sleep.
Go for a walk? Oh, my God.
Bye.